Hi. Okay, let's start. Uh, could you tell me, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Cool. Then let's start. Um, my name is Gleb Belogortsev, and I'm working at Avito as head of analytics. I'm working in data analytics for 9 years, and before this, I was working in web development for 8 years as a developer, as a head of web development department. And I know that developers and data analysts want actually the same thing. They want to do something for the business of their company to grow, but they see the business from two very different angles. If you're a developer, remember how many times you are asked to do something uh, without explanation of the business goal. I can remember one thing from my practice. I was working in a news website, and we were asked to display clicks on the news headers in the admin panel near those headers, because editors wanted to see what is popular, to adjust these headers, to rearrange them. We've done it, and everyone was happy. But now, when I think about it as an analyst, I understand that maybe what they really wanted was not clicks, but CTR. And looking at the wrong metric, they were making wrong decisions. What I want to speak about today, I want to overview the 2 points of view of developers and analysts, and the pains of both sides of view. I want to give you some examples of collaboration between them, and I want to tell how to find new opportunities in your business where you can collaborate. So, in my example, we see that developers control the code, but sometimes not fully understand the business goal. Then I became an analyst and found that analysts understand the goal, but they cannot implement changes often by themselves. My first project was the optimization of external ad selling. Website is selling ads on the pages by placing ad tag, a piece of code, on the page. This code contains some parameters and among them ad tag ID. And then analysts can use these ad tag IDs to split data on ad views, ad clicks, revenue, and so on. and optimize the parameters of ad. For example, floor prices at which website is selling ads. So I needed to uh, set the separate ad tag ID to different categories of the website. If I were a developer, I would just hard code a big table of these IDs, roll out this to production, and it would take me about 2 hours or 3 hours. But as an analyst, I had no access to the code. So I needed some admin panel where I can link ad tag IDs to category IDs to user groups to run A/B tests. And I've created a ticket in Jira, send it to a developers, waited it to be taken in sprint, then uh, tested what was done in this sprint, found that there were some errors, returned it back, and the whole process of creating this admin panel took about 2 months. It, 2 months and 3 hours. Sounds crazy. Looking back, thinking back about what I've done wrong there, I understand that it was because I I was trying to act like an external stakeholder, not as not as a part of the team. Uh, in about 1 or 2 years, I understood that this admin panel is not enough now, and we need more complex ad tech management system because because now we wanted to use not one external ad system but several ones on one ad place. We wanted to split data not only by categories but also by user parameters, and we wanted to combine different ad systems into so-called waterfall, where the ad impression is passed to one, and it's not buying the impression that it is passed to another. Rather complex logic, and we decided to create a more complex system, but now without graphic user interface, without admin panel, with configuration in JSON files, because analysts can write JSON, they understand it, and they can automate the creation of JSON. And uh, we've created it, and it took about 9 months to create this system, but it really saved our company advertising revenue several times when we had to make big changes in uh, in partners, mainly in partners who are selling ads. The in about 4 years, after 4 years in advertising optimization, I switched to price management. And there we also found that we need some system for analysts, because before it, to change prices of company services, we needed to create Excel file, upload it to admin panel, create a task for a database developer or to load this file to a database, then to check that everything is going all right. And it was taking a lot of time, and there were many places where we can make human errors. So we needed, and also it was limiting the flexibility in at which analysts can change prices. We were using price metric, so-called price matrices, where you have location IDs and categories IDs as rows and columns. In each cell, you have a price for each service. But it is very hard to change the structure, make it deeper, and so on, and split prices by some new parameters. And we started this project. And now we were working as one team, developers and analysts. We were brainstorming and refining logics that was rather complex. We were working on it together, and it's the main point. And also here we understood that we don't need to invest in graphical user interface because first it's impossible to manage a huge price matrices with tens of thousands rows in graphical user interface. And analysts can write SQL. They can make these matrices just in database and then use very simple interface to upload it to a production. So, what common features were in these projects, and what were my key takes away from it? First, if you're creating a system for analysts to tune some business parameters, often you do not need to invest in graphic user interface, because analysts are technical people. They can write code, they can write SQL, and you can use this. But you often have to invest in crazy logics. For example, in those price matrices, analysts wanted to have default metrics and then to apply a patch of prices to particular categories and locations with the search of these categories locations in tree structure of dimensions. So here is the point where analysts and developers should refine the requirements, and developers have to contribute in the system logics, because in the head of analysts it could be very simple, but when you try to implement it in real system or in high loaded system, it can be impossible. So you will have to limit the analyst's imagination. And analysts and developers should work as one team. External stakeholder approach may work for products that are made for external users, but not for analytical projects. How to find new opportunities of analytical systems in your company. First, try to find some points of your system, of your business, where someone can tune some business parameters to make a big impact. Where it can be price management, or it can be discounts. It can be advertising campaign management. For example, when you send the data about your users or about their actions to advertising system to optimize campaigns. This can be some paid product parameters. For example, composition of bundles of your product or of your services. And it can be decision making. For example, we have a system for sales managers. Sales managers have a list of clients that they have to phone, and each time the manager should decide which client to call and what to say, what to sell. We created a system with rules defined by analysts. That's scoring clients, and gives sales manager recommendation who to call and what to sell. And it's integrated in website, in CRM. Then think about what type of system you can create in this point. If you can fully automate decision making or changing of these business parameters, you can make fully automated system. Inside it, there will be some analytical model that gives recommendation, and it is working in production, just applies it. Then it can be a system for technical users like analysts. Here you can not invest in graphical user interface and have to invest in logics. And it can be a system for business users. For example, in some companies, price changes are made not by analysts like in Avito, but by, for example, category managers, business managers. Here you can you'll need to invest in logics, and also you will have to invest in graphic user interface and some extra logics that will check that this non-technical user is not doing something harmful for the business tuning these parameters. So to wrap up, what I want you to do after this talk, if you're an analyst, think what 3 parameters of business you can tune, or you can tune it deeper than it's done now. And if you are a developer, schedule a coffee with your analyst. They talk about their work, their ideas, their pains. And if you will do this, if analysts and developers will work together, you will find new points of growth for your business. Thank you. Now it's time for questions. Then my little question: who are developer and who are analysts here, and maybe someone else, technical managers. Data engineer, dev, sometimes analyst, developer. Misha asks, could you give an example of your approach to establishing such collaboration failed and why? I'm analysts, analytics manager. Yes, I have example of this. It was also in ad selling. We wanted to create our own SSP. It's the system on a publisher side where you can you can integrate your website, simply speaking, with different buyers of ads and run auctions on each your impression actually on your backend. And here it was a product initiated from business side, but it is very analytically and technically complex heavy. And here we faced this complexity, and we underestimated it very much. That's because it failed. So it also about the complexity, the refining of requirements, and good estimations. More questions? So my question to developers: how do you know what your what analysts in your company are doing? What's their pains? How close how closely do you work with them? Rebecca, is is it what you wanted from this webinar? Okay. If Misha, Misha, you with sometimes. There is a good example from Misha of how they work together. You can speak, not right. About more examples on how analysts and developers work together. I think this mm, uh, should be a part of ordinary processes of daily work. Um, our in Avito, for example, we have matrix organizational structure where all organization is split into units. Unit is a cross-functional team where we have all competences uh, to grow some product or part of business. So there will be backend developers, front-end developers, designer, product manager, product analyst, and so on. And unit is split into two sub-teams, discovery and delivery. And analysts with product managers work in discovery team. They make some discoveries about some hypothesis on how to grow the product. And then they generate ideas, tasks that are implemented by delivery team. So on the intersection of these fields, analysts work with developers to refine what they are doing in product. If there is no more questions, let's finish. Thank you very much for attending this event. Bye.